Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance. This Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. Saturday night, a little after 9. Finally dropped down below 90. We're out here trying to enjoy ourselves. And we can continue on with the Mac theme. So, as fate would have it, the driver had this in stock, but then when he came to sell it to me, he didn't have it on the truck. No worries, he showed up the next week, and we made a deal on something else. So, if you're curious what this is, it is the RBRT. It'll be in a previous video if you somehow missed it. Who joins the bandwagon 5-6 years late? This guy right here. And kind of got a hybrid set here. You got your Torx, we got our metric hex, and most importantly for me, SAE hex. So again, I'll have that right in the previous one. And what we have now is a monumental occasion. This is something that I tried for so long, so very, very long, to procure, that I'd just about given up on it and was going to go a different route. I was actually kind of happy with what I had planned. But if you don't know the drill here, when we hit 5K, I said we'd do Matco. 7,500, I said we'd do Mac. And 10K, I said we'd do Snap-on. And spoiler alert, if you want to see my take on some Snap-on things, it's well underway. I think I've recorded like 12 videos, and I'm just sitting here waiting to release them until we hit 10,000 subscribers. It really sucks because some of it's pertinent. Like I've got a Synergy flex head and an orange handle that's like not purchasable outside of the trucks yet, and you know, all kinds of things. But anyway, if you want to see that stuff, by all means, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. I know a lot of people watch without subscribing. That's about it. Past this, I think I'm done with that, and I think I'll just try to do like cool things, whether it's like giveaways or like you know, if we ever make it big, you know, like well let's do a new toolbox, and it'll just be a surprise. I'll kind of tease a little ahead of time, but that was the promise. 7,500 and 10K, and I'm a man of my word, and it's all in position. How does that relate to this video though, you ask? Well, same with Mac. I was at a point, you know, we got up to the Matco territory at 5K, and I asked people, you, the viewer, yes, you watching this, I was like, hey, what would you recommend from Mac? What do you think I would enjoy from Mac? Is there anything comically bad from Mac that you want me to bring in? Do you think there's something that would be a great comparison to contrast versus something you've seen on the channel? And the number one most requested item wasn't screwdrivers, it wasn't the axis ratchets. That video went live today, by the way. 3/8 one, super cool selector switch. Probably number one in terms of the Easter egg. Just pure badassery, if you will. But that aside, the number one thing people said to bring in was precision torque wrenches. And spoiler alert, that's what we did here. Finally, believe you me, you're sitting here like, man, you've done quite a few Mac videos now. How come you didn't get those? I've tried, and I have tried. I have come up short. I have had Mac direct. If you don't know, I complain about this. Let's just get you some eye candy here in the meantime. But if you want to use timestamps, I'm the guy that does that. I do it to save you time. It screws the channel over. YouTube hates it, but feel free to skip ahead. Again, pretty laid back here, but quick little story time here on all the times I attempted to get these. So, and for everyone else, it's like, you could have saved money and gotten X brand. I will talk about that too. So, long story short, my first attempt to get these, and this is something I hate about Mac. So many good things to say. This is one of the most idiotic. I mean, they're shooting themselves in the foot on this. When you have a Mac flyer, whether you go online and look at it yourself or you watch some dude do a flyer video, and it's almost every single person that does Mac flyers, you can't see them. I don't know if it's me on my end, but it's like they record it, screenshot it off their cell phone, and then like if you just want to look at the deals, like the details of it, a BOGO or build your own bundle, you can't read them. And if they glaze over that, you're screwed. So that's kind of a catch-22 there, but ultimately, whether you see a preview, some of those guys, to their credit, do get those flyer videos out really fast and before they're even up on the Mac website. Do I get the flyers? I sure do. How? I put myself on the mailing list. You can do the same thing. But bottom line, let's say that there's a deal. This wrench set, you watch this video, you'd already been excited about these wrenches, and you're like, man, I'm pulling the trigger next time there's a deal. Let's say the next flyer, it's got that deal, and you're like, I'm doing it. I can't wait to try these out. Even if they suck, I can get my money back at that price. Might even make money, who knows? And you're gung-ho on it. If you're in an area where you don't have a Mac driver, or maybe you've got a Mac driver that flaked, right? You quit selling toolboxes, or, you know, everything's broken and he doesn't come around type of a deal. This happens far more often than people realize. But bottom line, let's say that you've got to order it online. Nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. I've done it with a lot of this Mac stuff. I do it with Snap-on. I did it with Matco when my charge card would work there before they had excessive fraud warnings, which we cover, I think, ironically, in a Snap-on video. Or maybe it was Mac. It might have been the Mac Axis, I'm not sure. But some point in time, I covered that. What you have to do with Mac, you cannot go on their website. If these were on sale for 50 bucks, we're just throwing numbers out there, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna do that. My previous dealer pissed me off. I hate the company, but that is a steal. I'm buying them. Well, I hope you have time during business hours, because you have to call it in. You're like, no, I'm just gonna order online, dude. No, you've got to call it in. You literally have to pick up the phone, call Mac, wait for someone to get on the line, which, to their credit, is usually quick. The people there have all been absurdly nice. I deal with some real, like, asshats, to put it nicely. The Mac ladies, they've been wonderful. Sometimes you have to wait a little while. They like kind of might struggle to find the deal or the part number if it's got a color or something, but they're super, super nice. And ultimately, though, then you get to that point and one of two things happen. They either tell you, oh, we're out of stock. And you're like, what? The website doesn't say you're out of stock. Or two, it's like, yep, there you go, sir. That should ship in 2 to 3 days. At that point in time, it's 50-50 if the order is going to ship, or if in about 5 or 6 days you're going to get a notice that your order was canceled because they didn't have sufficient product on hand to ship to you. I've lost count of how many things they have canceled on me. And again, I'm someone, if I commit to something, if I say like, yep, $50, we're going, I'll wait. They're like, well, sir, this could be 6 months. I'll wait. That was a fantastic deal. Well, sir, it's been 6 months. We project another 6 months. Slow boat from China. I'll wait. It was such a good deal. I'm going to wait. And then ultimately they just eventually cancel it, right? With Mac, boom, it's instantly canceled. Really sucks. The biggest thing, it's hard for me to get, I told you, like, I'm straight up, straight shooter. I do all this stuff like 11 p.m. to 3 or 4 in the morning. Okay, that's when I have free time, and I have it because I make it. Right now, could I call Mac? Sure, but guess who's not there available to take an order? Mac. They've got like regular business hours. Guess what I'm doing during regular business hours? I'm working. Okay, I don't work from home. I can't pick up the phone. A lot of times when I try to do stuff like this, if I'm put on hold for any length of time at all, I have to get off because I'm either solo and phone rings and I have to get it. Customer comes in. I just can't even get the time to do it. Sometimes you call like during lunch. My lunch, it's rare that I get a continuous lunch. It's rare that I get my break times, right? So it's a nightmare for me. If you've got an hour lunch every day, or you've got like a 15-minute break that you know, like, hey, I'm going to the truck and you can sit there 15 minutes, try it. But they really need to get with the modern times. If KC Tool does a deal, I don't care if it's tool of the day, a seasonal, like some quarterly deal, a clearance, anything, you can buy it online. If you want to call in, talk to them and order it, you can. Snap-on, as much as I bag on them, which you haven't seen those videos yet, but you will, hopefully, if we ever make it 10K. When they have a flyer, which I don't believe their flyers are near as good as Mac's in terms of the deals you get, but when they have a flyer, if you've got a ratchet and they knock $15 off, which is like a grade A top tier deal from a Snap-on flyer, you can go in direct to the website and purchase it. You can purchase it at 2 in the morning. You don't have to talk to anybody. It's fantastic. Matco, to their credit, when they've got an online deal, you can just go buy it from their website. Why Mac insists on having you call in and talk to a person to make the same transaction you would make is beyond me. It's just, it's nuts, right? I get it. You're Mr. Old School, you know, your grandpa's still kicking and doing well, and, you know, he prefers that. That's fine. He's got time to do it. For everyone else, give us the option to just go and purchase it online at 2 in the morning. It'll save you time and frustration and manpower and everything, you know. But I've had it fail there. I've had a couple times where, like, deals would come back, and I'm like, well, that's a really good deal. I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Whether it was buy one, get one free, SA and metric, buy one, get one, the big wrenches, or get, you know, like ratcheting wrenches, like a 7 or 8 piece set. There's been some killer deals, and I've tried to cash in on pretty much all of them, and I've failed every time. Not necessarily me, it's more a Mac thing. But the last time on the wrenches, I had a dealer, and he was like, yeah, man, I'll get those ordered for you. And he was like, hey, your stuff came in. I'm like, cool, what are the, you know, give me a price, I'll get a check. And I never heard from the man again. Who drops the ball at that point in time? I have no idea. I checked back like, hey, you know, did you ever get to crank out that invoice, you know? Crickets, nothing. I assume the dude sold them. Maybe they came in on the truck and like a regular was there and was like, dude, you know, I got to have that. And he pulled the trigger, didn't want to break the... I don't know what happened, but I had to write that off, and now I'm set up with a different dealer, and this is not even something I plan to buy. All I was trying to do is verify when the colored axis ratchets come, which I've forgotten again, but it was either 10 or 11. I think he was kind of uncertain, but really cool deal there. I've mentioned it elsewhere. The thing I did then is I was like, hey, well, you know, do you happen to have Flyer 8 yet? Because I knew it was coming, and I was going to get it, and I wanted to see. There's a socket deal in there where you buy one, get one, build your own deal, and I needed to see if it was SAE, metric, what the drive sizes were, because I can't read the videos people put up. So that's all I was doing, and he's like, oh, what were you looking for? And I told him, I was like, oh, you know, I've always tried to find a good deal on the precision torques. And lo and behold, as fate would have it, what do I always tell you people here at the house? What do I prefer? I prefer 50s, 60s, and 70s Mopars. That's what my bread and butter is. What do I do at work? We're old school. We're SAE. What did he happen to have on the truck that he can't sell because everyone else is metric? SAE wrenches. And, driver's kind of old school. He prefers red. Why? Because then he can stock one thing. Yeah, I totally get his perspective on that. If I come in, I might know, like, okay, I've got 2 green guys over here I got to take care of, and it's like, will I sell orange? Will, like, a coworker of the green guy want orange? You get into a deal where if you're going to stock stuff on your truck, you don't really know, like, is it going to sell? Like, does people like them? Maybe I go to a Harley dealership and I sell orange, but then a guy, will they want to differentiate from Ed's tools by getting green? Will they be red? You get into like a cluster deal. You want to have it on the truck, right? So you can sell it, so you can show it to people, flip it, move inventory. At the same time, you kind of take a risk. Mac just came out with the purple stuff, right? Do the drivers bring it in and have like one demo set and say, I'll order it for you? Or do they think, I'm going to sell a ton of that? It's a crapshoot. I totally get where the dude's coming from, but ultimately for me, he had green and orange precision torques, SAE, this size, and the add-ons, and he wanted them gone. So that's where I come in, and I'm like, okay, well, that was unexpected, but I'll take it. So why is this green? You're like, okay, dude, you know, here, you everything SAE is orange and metric is green. This is SAE. Did you misspeak? No, this is SAE and green. And I know where you're going with that. You're like, oh, you screwed up, buddy. You even said he had orange. This is going back to work. At work, we've got the Wrights. Went full polished. I was trying to replicate my beloved Proto Challengers that they no longer make. And I'm more of a satin finish guy, yes, but we went full polish on the Wrights, which is beautifully executed. And I did that again sort of as like a tribute to what's still my favorite wrench, the Proto Challengers. And subsequently with these, I thought, all right, my Mac pry bars are green. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Plus my nephew, you know, he was there with me after hours, so I was like, yeah, what do you think, buddy? And of course he's green, even though he's a dark green. And my plan is, if I like these, I might jump back on the truck Wednesday and be like, hey, I'm taking the orange set. So with that said, we need to talk about Mac precision torque wrenches. I don't really hear anyone mention this, particularly in videos. I think that's an idiotic name. Like, when I hear precision torque wrench, I think of a torque wrench. I think of something that's going to dial in torque specs, right? And when I hear precision, I think it's like really fine. Maybe, you know, instead of being like 0 to 300, it's like you've got 4 wrenches in that span, right? I do not think of a combination wrench. I think of a torque wrench, the literal definition torque wrench, right? I kind of see why they might have done that, but I feel like somebody should have had the backbone to like stand up to whoever was running with that and be like, hey man, people are going to think that's a torque wrench. And, I don't know, you know, like if they wanted to call them high torque wrenches or super strong something, somewhere along the line something went terribly wrong in the nomenclature, in my opinion. You could have called these pretty much anything, but precision torque, that to me will always, I own these now. You know, we've had them here with us a few days, and it's still, if I love these, I'm still going to say, why? Why is it a precision torque wrench? Makes no sense to me. But it is what it is now. In terms of, hey, you know, I've got that for Craftsman and it was half the price. I know. I totally get it. This is Stanley Black & Decker. Okay, this is what they do, unfortunately. Particularly if you had these off the Mack truck. Facom, whatever you want to call them, right? FACOM, French company, Stanley Black & Decker, parent there now, right? I believe that's where they originated. I always wanted to get a set. Why? Because 1, people said they were good, but 2, they were the 440s. 440, it's a big deal to me, right? You know, personally, it's like a better number than 426, you know, so big deal as a Mopar person to have 440. I was like, you know, I'm just going to get those in a metric set and call it good. I'm not sure they even had them in SAE, but they were standard, kind of. Now everything you've seen Craftsman, I think even Stanley may have some. Anytime you see this wrench holder in that style, it's likely sourced from the same factory type of a deal, right? So, yes, I'm aware of Facom. I'm aware of USAG or USAG. I really still don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. The cool thing with them, if you see this and you're a jungle person, you hate Mack drivers, you don't have one, you don't want to give them the business, what have you, the USAGs, I believe it's the 285 XLs, will be similar to this. Where the Macks differ, and this could be beneficial or detriment, depends on where you're at, these are going to be longer, right? So these are sort of like a long pattern wrench. Mack does have shorter ones, but I believe they're like stubby ratcheting. There's really not like a regular size type of a deal. Think of Icon. If you go and buy brand new Icon wrenches, you're either getting long pattern or stubby. There's not like a standard one right now. So, best of my knowledge, that's how that pans out. So yes, if you want a bargain shop, go around Craftsman, USAG, Facom. They're all on the table. They're all going to be very, very similar. And just go with the best deal. You know, and if you wind up liking them and say, man, I wish I had these in a longer pattern, shop accordingly. For me, just kind of walked into it. I figured sometimes they do bundles I don't like they'll put these with metric or buy metric, get the SAE type of a deal. I would much rather, and I believe this is the bundle I had from the other driver, where it was get this set and get the ratcheting set, or buy the ratcheting, get the, it was a really good deal. I don't exactly remember. I could look through my text and figure it out. But, anyway, it has finally happened. We finally have these things, and I'm excited to check them out. So the biggest knock right off the bat is what? They're made in Taiwan. I think they charge too much for something made in Taiwan. What do I always tell you? I'm consistent. I'm fair. I base things solely off of my opinions, and I run with them. So when I tell you that the handle is too short on a Capri 3/8 breaker bar, if Mack had a handle and it was the same length, guess what? It's too short. If Hazet's handle is the same length, it's too short. All right? You'll see consistency in my complaints. Stahlwille, Hazet, they both do fantastic wrenches. For ratcheting wrenches, they go to Taiwan. To be totally honest, I really do like these Stahlwille ratcheting wrenches. I believe Cabo does them. They're fantastic. They're buttery smooth. You still sort of have the Stahlwille profile plus that mechanism. What's the problem, you ask? They're made in Taiwan. Is that a problem? No, I'd have no issues with that. Taiwan, they've got so many patents for so many things that ratchet. The kicker is, I know what it costs. You can get made in Taiwan stuff all over the internet at Harbor Freight for fractions of the price. So yes, do I admire the Stahlwille design and think it feels great in the hand? Absolutely. But I can't justify that price point. Now, if that same mechanism, right, was German engineered and put together in Germany, I'd understand the price. Same thing in the US. Snap-on charges an arm and a leg, like $500 for a 7-piece ratcheting set, right? I can justify that because it's made in America. It's all American. These coming out of Taiwan should be good quality wrenches, right? They've got the warranty from the Mac dealer. Just break anything. I asked him, and he says he can't remember having to ever replace one of these. And I would assume, like RBRTs, he sold quite a few of these by this point in time, right? These have been out, what was it, 2015, 2016? Like, this is older than the RBRT stuff, right? So that's a pretty good jaunt to have never had to replace one. And I know what people in our area do. So that's pretty impressive in and of itself. Past that, I'm kind of excited just to try them out and kind of see where we take it from here. So they're still sealed in the packaging, got all that dust knocked off of them. Again, this is if this was metric, I would not have gotten this deal. I'll tell you right now, there's something that he could sell easily. The SAE, there's just not as big of a demand right now. This could vary. You could have a Mac dealer and maybe he hits the Chevy dealership, the Toyota dealership, a couple of old guys that are retired that collect tools, and then he might go to ag, and he might go to manufacturing facility 2 through 17. Those people probably still use SAE. If you get lucky like me and your dealer mainly does modern stuff like dealerships, you know, of Toyota, Chevy, Ford, so on and so forth, you could luck into a pretty good deal. So right here, what's impressive about this set is the sheer contents. This is a 14-piece set. These are very heavy, particularly when you add to it. But to give you an idea of what we've got here, we've got quarter, 9/32, 5/16, 11/32, 3/8, 7/16, half, 9/16, 5/8, 11/16, 3/4, 13/16, 7/8, and yes, my beloved 15/16. This is awesome. This is a super comprehensive set of wrenches. Why 9/32 and 11/32 are there? I guess it's just kind of filler to complete the set, make it complete. Those will probably see virtually no use unless it's an oddball, you know, rusted or rounded off fastener and they happen to fit type of a thing. But quarter to 15/16, that's a sweet deal. So selling points on the packaging. I think I can get this to where you can see it. It was really hard to see this on the wrenches. That's why we've kind of gone this direction. But they're going to call it a revolutionary I-beam design. Not sure I would call it that, but I would call it an I-beam design. Ergonomically designed for less hand stress, higher strength, and increased safety by there. Unique offset on opened and boxed, and unfortunately they don't give any measurements here, right? It's just unique. That's, I think the consumer would stand to reason, like, oh, hey, it's 7.5 degrees. Oh, no degrees. It's a 0 offset. Oh, it's 24 degrees. Tell people, you know, the more the merrier, the more information, the better, right? Improved accessibility and ease of use. Large markings make it easier to find the right size. Non-slip open end. Increased contact area to avoid rounding. Helps prevent open end of wrench from slipping off of fasteners. That's pretty much it for information there. So we're to the point of taking a look at the wrenches. First thing first, we've got the Mac logo. We paid for that. Take it in. All right. I would assume Your Ficom, USAG, Craftsman, Stanley, whatever it might be. I assume brand specific is there. Maybe it's not plastic, maybe it's just a sticker, I don't know. Side profile here, you got Mac tools. It's very difficult to see that, I assume. Right here on this black, you can see it. I want to get to where you can at least see that. There you go, that's what we've got here. Again, you can hang this. You'd need a pretty big dowel, but you'd kind of probably want that. This is fairly heavy. It's not the heaviest thing in the world, but significant heft to her. Size markings here on the black. This is a nice touch. You know, it's a black holster here, and so they've done contrasting white with black numbers. Up at the top where it's green, you'll note that they've sort of done black with the green. Would I love to see green incorporated here throughout? Yes. Is it a big deal? No. Do I like that they're labeled? Oh yeah. Now, I'm assuming this just clasps open, which is what it did. Again, you can see kind of your hinge mechanism there. I'm afraid that might be plastic, which would be a really bad choice for something this heavy. I honestly can't see through there to tell you. I don't want to whack the camera. So here we are. Quarter all the way to 15/16. Beautiful, beautiful sight to behold. Again, these holders, it depends how you lay your drawers out. They're kind of designed, I would say, to be oriented vertically or in your drawer in the same layout, not kicked 90 degrees. Could totally do that. I don't know that you really lose a ton of space, especially if you fold this thing over. Now, where you're going to have space constraints is with this 15/16. Like, this is a monster. The chrome looks ridiculously shiny. We're going to come in here and grab the 1/2 inch. It's the first one out of the box here for us. Beautiful. Oh, yes. You're thinking like, yeah, it says Mac, don't get that excited. I'm excited about the part number. I had no idea Mac retained the 440s. So that's super cool. You got kind of a funky position on the 1/2. I guess it makes sense. It's kind of curtailing, you know, with the open end that is sort of shantered downward. I don't want to say it's like an angle wrench, but it's very much, that's also a lot thinner than I thought it would be. Coming down here, you can see the I-beam design again. I'm not sure why we need the part number twice, but so be it. 1/2 inch here is straight on. Check that out. It's kind of pushed through. So, this is interesting. I don't know why it was done this way, and you're thinking like, oh yeah, it's the offset you're going to talk about, right? No. I'm talking strictly open end, and it's not the offset. If you look right there, that's as zoomed in as I can get. If it looks like I could pour water and that's going to coalesce downward into the... If you hear the fireworks, I apologize. It's July 6th, and like I said, people take that Independence Day thing serious, at least fireworks. I'm not sure some people could tell you it's Independence Day, but they know it's firework time. Nonetheless, right there, that beautiful thing, that's chamfered, okay? And you're thinking like, okay, that's not that big of a deal, buddy. You know, just get on with it. Well, this side's not chamfered. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Your retort is going to be like, well, yeah, you're going to use this side of the open end, you know. Well, here's the thing. I always switch. You know, sometimes I need it kicked down like this to clear something up here. Sometimes I want it different. This... You could come in like if you were going head on, like if we had, say, a junction box or something here, we could come in that way. That's going to make it a little more, I'm not saying it's not going to function. I just don't understand why that's not chamfered the same. Bottom line, like this, it's going to glide down onto your bolt, right? This is going to do, and you can just turn and catch your corners. With this, you're going to need to like kind of nail it. If that was a 6-point, it would be super annoying. So that's kind of an odd design choice. I mean, it looks good aesthetically, but I think it should have been chamfered like you see here. Backside, I believe this is the backside, right? We're gonna, okay, so I guess this would be the front side. If we can shine on in there, you got your 1/2 inch, you got your precision, you got your torque, and you've got, again, the canter deal. I sort of dig the reinforced head there. I say reinforced, it's basically just the way it was forged. It almost looks like it's a reinforcement. The teeth, this is going to be a big one for us. I went ahead and timed out there so I wouldn't have to kick back in 20 seconds. But you can see we've got 2 teeth there, sort of a recess. Same thing on the bottom jaw. From what people have told me, and I have asked because I was concerned about it, these don't mar fasteners up too bad. It doesn't feel aggressive at all. Now, a lot of you are going to be sitting here and you're going to say like, well, dude, you shouldn't have bought these. Of course, you should have got a deal on the precision torques. You should have got RBRTs. Haven't you seen the torture test videos? I don't care. I do not care about torture testing wrenches. That has no impact on real world performance for me. It's cool to see stuff blow up and explode. It's nice that it's not me having to sacrifice my money and time to do that. But in terms of real world functionality, that is at the ragged edge that only an idiot would approach. Okay, if we need to take this and we need to put a 3-foot cheater pipe on it to break something free, we're not the brightest crayons in the box, are we? So there's better ways to do things, and where I'm going with that, I get it, RBRT, it's all the rage, it's what people want to see. A lot of times you've got a perfectly fine fastener, right? You know, you don't need to tear the head up on it. So, case in point, let's say that you work at a late model performance shop and you specialize in like Corvettes, and you got a lot of old men in there with their New Balance shoes and khakis, and guess what Walter did? Yes, Walter. He's got a 2008 Corvette, and he discovered that they make decorative bolts for the engine bay, and they feature the Corvette logo. And once you installed those for Walter, guess what every other old man in town wants? They want decorative bolts with the Corvette logo. And here's what happens. Let's say that Walter now, he's not winning the shows anymore because everyone has those bolts. And he's maxed out the aesthetics of his Corvette, right? He's done everything he can do. He's got to do something. And so what did Walter decide to do to his Corvette? He decided to put a cam in it. That's right. He's going to get a 525 hot cam, right? We're going back to the late 90s, early 2000s here for the Corvette crowd. And what is he going to do when he does that? You, the tech that he's probably had install his coveted decorative bolts, now is tasked with doing a cam install. And here's the problem. If you come in and you've got wrenches designed to pull out, junkyard diesel stuff, that's abused and left outside in the Canadian winter or something, you're going to tear up Walter's expensive decorative Corvette bolts, right? And that's not good. He's going to be really upset. So, here's what's going to happen. You're going to need to have a wrench that is old school. It doesn't have all the crazy stuff going on, right? You want it to just grab the sidewall, fit good, and take that sucker out. Same thing if it's a socket, right? That's where these come in. If I like these, if I'm like, man, these precision torques are legit, who cares about the country of origin? Next time, I don't even have to have a deal. I'm just going to go buy the RBRT wrenches. That's fine. There's a time and a place for everything, right? There's a reason that you have smooth-jawed opened ends. There's a reason that those were used for years. Sometimes you work on things where the fastener doesn't matter. You're going to replace it, or, it's like industrial equipment type of a thing, and you're like, yeah, well, who cares? There will be times that the aesthetics matter to people, okay? Maybe it's like, being into old Mopars where I think of these things, but I gave you a great example of the old man with the Corvette there. You could go out and you could get the grippiest, craziest jaws of teeth that you could find on a wrench, and yeah, they're going to grab real nice. Let's get the 9/16 here. They're going to hold that real good, but then whenever you come in and grab that, guess what happens? You just marred up the finish. Now, maybe you get lucky and you can install it and clock the hex, to where, like, Walter doesn't see the marring of the fastener here because you've got it pointed towards the intake and the fuel rail. But what if a coworker takes it over for you and spins it in, torques everything, and then boom, right there, when he goes out to detail that engine bay Friday night, guess what? He's going to see a marred up Corvette bolt, and you're going to have to answer to Walter. And then all the other cam jobs that you did after Walter are going to come back because their Corvette fancy bolts were screwed up. So I have been told, and feel free to chime in here because I know a lot of you must have these wrenches. I don't think that's going to tear something up. I really don't. It's possible that it could, but I have seen much more aggressive teeth. So the thing that concerned me, though, this is a 3/8 bolt. It's stainless. That's got a lot of play in it. So let me check the box end here now. Same thing right here. That fits pretty solid, but that's the chamfered end, okay? This side is not chamfered, and it is not enjoyable. It also was a way tighter fit to go in there. We kind of hit a point where I felt like I just pulled chrome out of the thing. There's a lot of play in that for a 12-point box end. Did I grab a 9/16 anything? I don't know that I did. Dadgum. I got so many wrenches sitting down here. I think I wound up going with 3/4, unfortunately. Actually, right here. This will be great. This is a Proto 9/16, and it's kind of the same way. That is not chamfered on either end, crazily enough. And that fits significantly better. Significantly better. Let's check the open end here. I want to kind of get it out here. Now this is ASD profile from Proto. Like, do you see how the bolt rocks a little bit? Let's go back to the precision torque here. Wish I would have grabbed other 9/16. Something to watch. Again, I know a ton of you must have these, so tell me, what do you think of them? Interestingly enough, this is a great segue. We're going to get into some comparisons here. This is Proto, made in the USA. If I line, that is a funky little, Well, I just wanted to do the overall length. The precision torque, very, very close in overall length to the Proto. Just like a 2/3 of the head, I would say, longer. Now, here's where it gets crazy. This is a standard combination wrench, right? It does have the ASD from Proto. Look at this. If I line the open ends up right there, I don't know what it is, but that precision torque just seems like it is tailing down. This doesn't make it seem that way, right? I've got it about as good as it's going to get. Huh, why is that? Is it the reinforced head? It just looks like a radically different angle to me. I don't know if it does to you. I've got these parallel, and the Proto almost looks like it's going just slightly downwind, and this looks like we're turning. we're about to hook a 180, right? Interesting. Same thing here on the offset. The Proto is going to be standard. If I try to line this up, this is a bit thinner on the precision torque. That could come in handy. Interesting. So let's set that to the side now. We got the Proto out of the way. While we have the 1/2 inch, luckily my Wrights are at work, but if you recall, we bought satin finish and we bought black. And since it's satin, we got 1/2 inch here. We can do a comparison. This is the Wright Grip 2.0, the precision torque. Not crazy longer, but noticeable, definitely noticeable. If we line up box ends here, I'd say maybe that's like 9/10 of a head bigger if we had to like give an honest assessment there. So Wright's going to be a little shorter than the Proto. Let's see here. Open ends lined up. There is your extension, right? If I get my finger in there, if I can, yes we can. That's the difference. Again, you can see the Wright here, the shorter one with this offset with this one. Very, very different. Nice thing about this line of wrenches then would just be the potential versatility in terms of you probably don't have anything like it So that is a positive. Right here, we've got a Wera Joker. We would be amiss if we didn't compare this to others. This is 13 millimeter. I don't have a 1/2 inch, I don't believe, at least not handy. So the precision torque is going to be quite a bit longer than the Joker. Again, kind of a standard configuration there with the Wera. Let's come in. We've got a Hazet. This is the 603, so it's going to have a little bit different of an offset. This is also a 13 millimeter. There is your difference between the two, right here on the open end. Was that? Let's see here. We will grab a. This is gonna get confusing. This is a 13 millimeter Stahlwille, which we'll compare to a 1/2 inch precision torque, but it's a series 14. What does that mean? This is Stahlwille's longer wrench, right? A series 13, open box 13 is going to be like standard, sort of like what we have over there. This is their long pattern wrench. Again, 13 mil versus 1/2 inch. Very, very close there between these two. Open end to open end, if I can get my finger in there, you can see the difference. And also pay attention to that offset. Stahlwille in the back, precision torque in the front. Now we're gonna just go KTC. I really do like this wrench. It's a 14, so I guess a 9/16 would be a pretty fair comparison. Again, don't have it in SAE or I would bust that out for you. Right here, you can kind of see what we're working with. Significantly longer, like a head and I don't know, 1/2 of an inch or so. If we line them up open end to open end, just because I can get my finger in there, look at that. Little extra leverage, a little different on the offset. Coming in next, I decided to step up to 3/4, just to give us a different size sampling here. This is an open box 13 from Stahlwille. This is not their long pattern. Unfortunately, you've heard me complain about this many times, Stahlwille does not offer an open box 14 in SAE sizes. One of those things I'd love to buy, but it doesn't exist. All right, so here's their standard 3/4 wrench versus the Mac. That's your size difference. If we come in next, let's go Gedore. This is going to be their standard. This is the old number 7. Got these actually in the US General. About the same, I would say. We haven't really been looking at thickness specifically. Hopefully you've kind of been eyeballing it. Kind of a budget throw in here. The Huskies, these have actually been decent wrenches. Again, they are somewhat aggressive, I would say, on the open end. And they're also a longer pattern. Look at that. That is the closest we've had. I'd say the precision torque is a little beefier. That might make it slightly more comfortable. The way these are radiused, I remember when I was using these quite a bit. I've kind of since semi-retired them, in part because we have really cool wrenches from Germany now, and they're spline. But when I was using them, they'd always dig into my hand. That was like pre-thumb injury. So it wasn't in gloves as often. How could we do a wrench comparison without the Craftsman USA race panel? Well, the answer is we couldn't. So here she is. This was my only 3/4 wrench for so very, very long. Looks like I've nearly arced something with it as well. But if I line my finger up there, there you go. Your kick out, your difference in offset. If we flip this one around, the Craftsman, quite a thin wrench until you add in that beam, right? So what I have now is Icon. Why? Well, these are made in Taiwan, just like these Mac precision torques. And you think, that's a terrible sample, buddy. Well, yeah, I agree. This is a 3/4 Stubby, but I wanted to compare the head. I think the precision torque is going to be a little bit thinner there. Not the best comparison. And if you're thinking like, why would you do that? Well, here's why. Icon does not offer the standard length like we covered earlier. They've got a Stubby and they've got this. Now, I do not have a standard wrench from Nikon. I just have ratcheting. These are also smooth jaw. They offer 2 iterations. This is the completely smooth jaw. When we line this up on my finger, the icon notably longer than the precision torque. So that's about it for comparisons, I would say. These are quite comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. Again, just the difference in the way they radius them, and then this inner structure here. Number one, yes, you kind of got like a thumb placement with it, but when we look at some of my favorite wrenches, Stahlwille, what do we have? We've got that beam. These are stupid lightweight, incredibly nice wrenches. Right here, look at that. Incredibly thin, but that beam structure, I'm super familiar with it, right? Same thing on their longer pattern. The Gedore, you've got the same thing there. It's a little harder to see, but just trust me, it's there. It's recessed. Again, incredibly thin. Super nice to have that, but sometimes it gets to be annoying. The KTC sort of follows that same Stahlwille approach. We could literally fill this up with Kool-Aid and you'd see the color troughed inside this wrench beam. The Hazet, this is the one I didn't compare. All right, my Hazet 600 LGs. Again, they don't make them in SAE, and man, I wish they did. This is a massive freaking wrench, okay? Since it's 19, we're gonna compare it to the 3/4. I'm gonna get my finger over here. Are you ready? Look at that. Significantly longer. I'd say this and the icon looked to be about the same, ironically. I don't believe I've ever compared these two. Icon's gonna take the cake there in length, but for a standard, I don't know how these people have this much money for fireworks. My apologies. But the standard end there for a combination wrench, these 600 LGs are legit. That said, in hand, this feels really good. Now, would I prefer satin finish? I don't know that I would on these. I think this design lends itself well to the like lustrous chrome. Across the board, do I prefer satin? Absolutely. I just like it better. You get better grip out of it. This is a really nice, though. Again, kind of the same way I feel about my German wrenches, where they have that trough. It's just super, super good. If we set the 3/4 back, this is kind of how these work. You just nest it onto that beam, press down. I don't know if over time that wears any. Again, these are brand new to me. Some of you have had these a long time and Mike can answer that better. But that's the 1/2-inch beam. We'll go with a beefcake here, which is the Wright, which is conveniently buried. And the Wrights are also a thick wrench. I'd say that's pretty close. I think the precision torque a little thicker of a beam. The Wright grip, really good luck with that. It's kind of unique to itself, but I should have grabbed the Capris. I've got them in another box. They might be similar to this style on the precision torque. I don't really have anything negative to say about these. I'm just kind of curious as to how they will perform. There's probably a certain way these need to nest too, which it looks to be box end out. So what am I doing wrong? I have it in this incorrect slot. So right there again, you could orient that with the box end this way or the box end that way, and it looks like we need the box end this way. So let me switch this now. And yeah, that's how the case is gonna work. 1/4 to 15/16. And you're like, okay, cool, video's finally done. I can go buy these, or I can rest at ease knowing I didn't get them, or I'm like, yep, the Craftsman equivalent's just fine. What if I told you there was more? So, here at the house, I would have stopped here, right? Like if I did something different, just got on the truck, he's willing to make a deal. Number one, I would have bought orange. I would have bought this, and the video would be over. As fate would have it, we've got this. And he made, again, a great deal because he wanted to unload the things. So this is sort of your add-on. And why it's oriented in that manner is going to drive me nuts. I couldn't tell you. But basically the way this would fold out, you'd have big size over here, small size over there. So in the box, you'd have your 2-inch over here and you'd have your 1/4 inch down there. That's backwards of how I want to do it. I want to read left to right, and I want to start small and go big. Just my personal preference. Can't tweak that with these. Luckily, aftermarket, we can come in Ernst tool organizer, so on and so forth, and fix that if we want to. These would travel very, very well. That's a comprehensive wrench set for pretty much anything modern outside of like heavy duty stuff or diesel. This is something that I wish I didn't have to get, but I did, and it's because of one wrench. If you heard me complain about stuff at work before, you know, 15/16 is very important to me. Use a ton of 5/8 hardware. But what is the size up that I use? 3/4. That's right. And what do we need for a 3/4 bolt? We need an 1 1/8" socket, or we need an 1 1/8" wrench. And guess what? 1 1/8" is the middleman. This is a 5-piece set. It's got an inch, 1 1/16, 1 1/8", which is the one that I need, 1 3/16, 1 1/4". I will probably use, you know, these 4. I don't know what I would ever do with a 1 outside of like a freak bolt or filter or something, but 1 1/8" will be the heavy hitter from this bag, and then 1 1/4" from time to time. These two, you'd be surprised, you do run into them sometimes, but this is literally the same thing, just bigger, and I mean, this has some heft to it. So, let's see here. This is pretty much the exact same thing. I think the only additional info is polished finish for easy cleanup and superior performance. So I'll go ahead and open them up so we can mainly take a look. I literally don't know how people can afford. Fireworks are expensive. And, these aren't like, the kids aren't out with the tank and the parachute guy. Like this is some impressive stuff going off in the distance. I turned the camera, but I put the door down. So right here, try to tear that without whacking the camera off the tripod. This is how the holder's gonna line up. This is the first time I'd say it's a little bulky, but again, picture toolbox widget, an Ernst wrench rack, anything, and you're gonna go to town. Now the problem you'll have is right here. They stair step beautifully, you know, especially if this is fanned out, right? But 15/16 was pretty significant. This guy right here, good freaking lord. It's quite the wrench, this 1 1/4". This is going to give you a fantastic look. This is the best I can do for that jaw design right there. You kind of see the teeth, the cutouts, if you will, the recess. We come down, beautiful look at the 440. There's the Mac logo. Part number again on this side, you're going to have your precision torque, which strangely enough, it's oriented from the box and down. This is a great example too. You know, when I was talking earlier about this is chamfered, like I said, you can hopefully see that that's radiused in or chamfered toward the box end to locate the fastener. This side is not. This is just like a daisy. This is just straight cut, almost sharp, right? Could be advantages to that. I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's just going to be more of an annoyance, really. But truth be told, I'd say the majority of the time I will be using the downside. That's where the wrench would kick out this way. But from time to time, you know, like it just might be a minor inconvenience there. It's just kind of strange it's not chamfered. I don't know if they thought they needed to not chamfer it for positive engagement when it comes in from the chamfered side, which would, I believe, be used the majority of the time by people. Who knows, but it's, golly, worth denoting there. 1 1/4", again, I think the size stampings could have been a little bigger. I'm not going to complain because that's fine, but I just, out of observation, I think it could be. Same thing there. Also something, since these are coming out of Taiwan and we're charging a premium for them, I would have loved to have seen these color filled, right? You see that a little bit. Maybe it's Chinese based wrenches. I don't keep tabs on it, to be honest with you. But if a guy pays for this, if he's like, I want the green, or I want the orange, or ew, you only have green and orange, get me the red. I think that would be something that could further justify the expense of these. Just real quick to give you a general idea here, I'm going to call that 17 inches exactly, right? There could be some give and take there. I think you can see that. This is a house right here. It doubles as a skull crusher should you ever need one. So keep that in mind. You're not just buying wrenches, you're buying self-defense, right? If you need to justify this to your wife or girlfriend, there you go, right? You put it in the kitchen drawer, put it in the nightstand, and boom, go to town. But inch and an eighth, we'll just pop that out since it is what I care about. Beautiful wrenches. Again, I don't have an issue with them coming from Taiwan. I think they can make some great stuff. I just kind of take issue with the price that they're charging. In terms of the deal we got, again, kind of a freak deal. I wasn't planning to buy these. He just happened to have them, and he doesn't sell SAE like he does metric. Basically out the truck for $400. The problem is this seems like a stupid good deal. I want to say it was that's with tax, by the way. I didn't buy these with the business. I did it solo, so I screwed myself with tax. But right here, this was $169. Maybe they've been on a flyer a little less than that. I haven't mathed it all out or dug out the flyers to figure it out. This is where I kind of get screwed because they were like 200-ish, which if you look at what they're trying to sell them for, that's a fantastic deal. But I basically wanted one wrench. At the same time, I'm like, well, shoot, if you're getting a set that comprehensive, I just as well go for it. So we did. If he's willing to sell me the orange ones for the same price as these without having to buy the big, I might do that. I wish I could get more seat time, but I'm also afraid if he's like really moving those, we might miss out. The other thing I gotta hit on here, which might be pertinent to you if you've been on the fence with these or something. Again, this comes straight from the Mac guy. I don't know his source. I'm sure it's something official somewhere, but even though they're coming out with green and orange axis ratchets, I think purple might be in the mix too. Supposedly these are going away. They're only going to do like the colors, red I should say. So green and orange will be going away. I don't know why. That makes no sense to me. They were finally getting good with colors outside of like their Mayhew based Dominator stuff. And yes, Mayhew is who makes the strikeable screwdrivers, if you didn't know. But my video on that, the first part Corrupted, is why I've never released that. But I have the Mayhews, not the Max. At the time they didn't even have the Max. But anyway, I think that's a mistake. I think they need to keep these. I totally get the drivers not wanting to stock them, just have one thing, black and red company color type of a deal. But at least keep these as an option for people, even if you just sold the dealers the case, right? Like, okay, hey, if you get that guy that has to have green, sell him this. That's the way to do it. I say the same thing about Harbor Freight. Ultimately, I think we got a pretty sweet deal on these. If these are as good as you people have told me, I should be happy. If they're not, I at least feel like, especially here, I get that these are huge wrenches and that kind of justified. Like when you start buying 1 1/4 inch, anything past 3/4 really, the price just goes crazy. So I guess it's not a bad buy there. It's just this seems like a really good deal. Like we could go into Harbor Freight and I'm not sure that I could get Icon wrenches at that price that would be that comprehensive, right? And last I knew they didn't even have a 15/16, which just blows my mind. But that aside, what I want to know from you, how long have you had the Precision Torques? How do you like them? What are you comparing them to? I know a lot of you are going to have old school American Snap-on, a bunch of you got the German stuff or Japanese, tons of you are going to have Craftsman USA and something from Harbor Freight. Where do these rank? How do you like them? Are they better? Are they mid-tier? Do you think the prices need to come down? Whatever your thoughts and opinions, please chime in, because again, I just opened these. I can't tell you this is the greatest set of wrenches ever. I can't tell you these suck. I can just give you initial impressions. I've got to use them. They'll be going to work. They'll be kind of my backer set with the Wrights. I love the Wrights. I'm going to tell you right now, these are fantastic. And the thing is, at work, I literally get in situations I have to have 2 wrenches. I need one on the front and one on the back. That's where these come in. We're running out of time there on the cardigans. This is a long video. Again, that's why I do timestamps, but your thoughts and opinions always appreciated. The step up from that, what you think of these versus your other wrenches, is this. If you, and I assume if you bought these precision torque wrenches, which is still a crazy name to me, if you stepped up to the RBRTs, how are you designating their usage? Is the RBRT set strictly for a mangled fastener? Like, if you have this bolt head staring at you, you're getting your precision torque. But if you have this bolt head that's shoom, you know, like looks like a pie's been thrown on the edges, are you going to grab your RBRT? How would you compare the RBRTs versus the precision torques? And is this a deal where you would just be like, I bought those, I bought the RBRT, the knuckle savers are still the best? And for what it's worth, the knuckle savers are now coming in cases like this, so I think that's a relatively new development. But with that said, man, I'm kind of tired of standing in this spot. I'm going to check the battery I've got charging, and maybe organize some ratchets or something, and call it good. But this is the most sought-after item I've tried to get. Not necessarily what I wanted the most, but what all of you said definitively, overwhelmingly, get this. If I ask about Snap-on and somebody's like, oh, you got to have the 3/8 blank blank ratchet, okay. But for Mac, when I said, what do I get? What do you want to see? What do you think I'd like? It was the precision torque wrenches. So I wish I could get this good of a deal, particularly I think, what are they, 6 to 19 metric over there? If I could get that good of a deal on those, I might bring them in and just throw down with them for a while. They should be good. They look pretty solid. They seem extremely comfortable. My biggest takeaway, very high luster, very long, but also they're just comfortable in hand. So they've got that going for them. So hopefully they don't suck, because otherwise the comfort in hand means nothing. But if they're decent, they'll be a nice set of wrenches. And again, my big surprise that I'm probably the happiest about, they have 440 on them. So there you go. Again, if you look at these, if you can't catch a break on a deal, if you don't have a driver, if you get screwed, you can't call Mac during business hours, Facom, USAG, Craftsman. I've had some people mention Stanley. I've never really looked into that. They're all over the place. I think you'd only be giving up length, which, to be honest with you, yeah, it's really nice to have a long wrench, but sometimes you can't fit that really nice long wrench for leverage in. Okay, so keep that in mind. Maybe buy accordingly. Kind of wet your teeth before you jump in. Stahlwille, Hazet, Gedore, Wright, particularly Wright. The KTC, I need more seat time, but I really do like that wrench. There's some really good wrenches that you could probably piece together sets and come out cheaper than this. But especially MSRP. MSRP on these is absurdly high for something coming out of Taiwan. I would advise only getting a deal, whether it's something your Mac guy's overstocked, your Mac guy can't sell orange, something like that, something like I walked into, or a flyer promo. I don't think I would want to go in and shell out full MSRP for this set of wrenches. Again, just because they're from Taiwan and they've got a huge profit margin on these things. So past that, they look good. I'm excited, in part because y'all said they were so good. Time will tell. That's all I can tell you. I can't anoint these as the greatest wrenches of all time. I can't tell you they suck and they're overpriced. I have to use them. So they'll be going to work. The green here really works well. I kind of wish it was a little darker, but it is what it is. It'll match the pry bars. If we ever do the anti-vibes in green, we got that going for us. But, yeah, maybe we'll get the orange set and we'll make a quicker video next time. But these have the backstory. So long I've tried to make this happen. I had my contingency plan that I was about to put into play because I was just sick of even attempting it, and then this just literally fell into my lap. So I'll take it, and hopefully they're good. Like I said, your thoughts and opinions always appreciated. If you liked the video, I encourage you to leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do that. If you subscribe, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek while wielding your 1¼ Mac precision torque wrench, YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching. I'd apologize about the length of the video. I know the cult followers appreciate that and like those better. And for everyone else, I told you I had timestamps in the beginning. So, with that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.